Hello everyone, this is part 9 of What If Naruto was exiled after he brought Sasuke back, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Lee, go left. Tenten yelled as she launched a kunai barrage into the Oto patrol. They'd stumbled upon them, and while they knew their mission was to look for Naruto, they couldn't allow a team from Sound to be this close to Konoha. Neji was in the middle of a pitched battle with 6 Oto Chunins. The 2 Oto Jonins were left to Lee and Tenten, and they were having a bit of trouble as the one Jonin was using sound waves to knock her kunai aside. The other Sound Jonin was using a strange device on his arm to crystallize the air and attack Lee, whose fists were shattering the crystal waves with little trouble, but it was slowing his advance on the Jonin to a crawl. Guy-sensei just had to pick this morning to go fishing. Tenten muttered as she used a pair of kunai on a chain to attack the first Jonin. She wasn't going to waste kunai, and with the chain it was an added weapon. Neji took out a pair of Chunin with his Juken strikes and slid a kunai into the end of a third before the ground beneath him erupted, sending him flying from a sound wave. Neji twisted in the air and unleashed a shuriken barrage that caught the Sound Nin, who was kneeling on the ground, arms buried to the elbow. The using device is similar to the Nin during the Chunin exams. He thought and watched as the Nin trapped in his own work was turned into a pincushion by the shuriken. Neji flipped in the air again and his feet connected with the tree trunk, and he pushed off and leapt higher up. His Byakugan took in the battlefield. Lee was nearing his opponent, who was getting desperate, putting up crystal barriers, while Tenten was moving in closer to her opponent. Tenten, he called. Switch. She nodded and leapt under him and attacked the remaining Chunin while Neji attacked the Jonin. The Oto Nin was unprepared for the switch, and the Juken strikes hit his chakra points, and shutting him down he fell to the ground. Your death is imminent, Neji said, bringing his foot down and snapping the Jonin's N. Neji turned to see Lee with a spinning helicopter leg attack strike the other Jonin and send him flying into a tree. Lee landed and gave him a thumbs up, and they both turned to see Tenten with a spin and holding the chain in the middle impale the 2 Chunin on the kunai, one between the eyes, the other in the groin. Neji and Lee both winced as she turned and, putting a hand on her hip, looked at them. What? She asked. Nothing, Tenheim. Neji said. Crap, did we bring chocolate? I can't ask Lee, she'll hear. Neji thought, watching as she retrieved her weapons and the Oto Nin of their shuriken and kunai. Neji, Lee, you need to see this, she called out, and they both left the corpse's view, as they rushed to their lover's side. They reached her at the same time and saw her holding an open scroll. Here, she said, handing the scroll to Neji. Lee looked over his shoulder, and Neji didn't mind like he pretended he used to. To all patrols and assault teams, continue to monitor Konohagakure. Be on the lookout for any and all patrols, and Uzumaki Naruto. Lord Orochimaru wants him relatively unharmed. Also capture orders for Hinata Hyuga and Jiraiya of the Sannin. All other Konohagakure nin are on site. Lord Danzo. That bastard, Tenten said after they were done reading, ignoring the descriptions of Hinata, Naruto and Jiraiya. We need to warn Lady Tsunade that they are studying our defenses, Neji said. But our mission? Tenten questioned. It is evident we can't continue undermanned, but this needs to be reported, Neji said as Lee put a hand on his shoulder. What if Guy-sensei were to take it back and join up with us later? Tenten asked. She really didn't want to separate from Lee nor Neji. Speaking of Guy-sensei, where is he? Neji pondered. The sounds of battle should have brought him back to camp. The 3 Chunin exchanged glances and leapt off towards the river. Under this, I Fing hate spiders, Naruto yelled as he hit one with a kick, sending it flying. They had been knocked out of the air by a barrage of webbing spat at them. Fire-style jutsu. Atomic fire bomb. The explosion opened a path, and both Naruto and Mika were running once more. Mika was showing exhaustion from the fire jutsu he'd just used. Keep running, Q ordered, knocking spiders out of the way with Vunla waves. Naruto put his hands in the familiar cross position. Shadow clone jutsu. He yelled, and a dozen Naruto surrounded them and kept running, attacking with kunai of anything that got in the way. Master, Micah was winded and trying to keep going. The extended wind use and then the fire jutsu wearing his reserves down. Are we there yet? Naruto couldn't help but laugh at the silver-haired youth's question. Soon. The woods are getting thinner. Yeah, but that hasn't slowed down the spiders. Naruto gripped. Micah voiced his agreement. What's to stop them from pursuing us out of the swamp, master? Q remained quiet, his eyes focused ahead. Micah, you have enough energy to lift you and Naruto. For what? Micah asked. The river. The spiders can't cross it. It's swamp, river, patch of land and then cliffs that wall the entrance to the Valley of Mist. Q said. Micah sighed and looked over as Naruto offered him a bean. Is that what I think it is? He asked the blonde. Senzu beans. Q sounded impressed. Where'd you get them, Kit? Naruto blushed. Those bunny ladies. The Vieira. Micah corrected. Yeah. That portal to their world only opens once every 500 years. The group stuck here has done well. Q mentioned. Yeah, well, they gave me a bag of them. Haven't really had a use for them. I thought if we get back to our world, I could try and grow them. Not a bad idea, Kit. Senzu beans are a healer's dream. They fix you up, re-energize you and aren't detrimental like those soldier pills you can use. Well anyways, Maeve suggested I take the bag, and I have another sealed away. Naruto was turning red. And what did that cost you? Wait, that night you were out till sunrise, whoa. Micah said, his golden eyes widening. Hey, isn't Maeve like? Shut up. Naruto said, blushing. Take the stupid bean team. Micah accepted it and chewed it. He felt his reserves rise and his exhaustion fade. I'm ready, master, he said. Naruto, take one for yourself as well. We're nearly there and there might be fiends on the other side of the river. It's nearing nightfall. Naruto popped his own bean into his mouth and felt refreshed. Take em up. Q ordered and using a Vunla wave he sent spiders flying once more as Micah and Naruto were airborne once more. The wind shield slicing spiders up once more and the webs never stood a chance. Q sent spiders flying as his eyes scanned for any of them setting another trap. They saw the river and flew over it. Q floated above it by inches. He looked over his shoulder hearing the clacking of mandibles and knew that the spiders weren't happy with losing their prey. At least we didn't run into her. She could be a real bee. Q thought. He really was happy they managed to avoid the demon spiders and the spider queen. They'd just had the mindless fiend types. He watched as Naruto and Micah touched down. Are we safe here, master? Micah asked, his windshield kicking up small amounts of dirt. Are you both well enough to continue? Hi. Two young voices said at once. We'll make camp in the valley. I don't want to be stumbling around the Valley of Mist in the dark. Q said. What's so special about this valley, master? Micah asked as they took to the trees. The Valley of Mist is a labyrinth. The mist makes it hard to see, and a wrong turn could lead to disaster, even for those that have navigated it before. A maze. Naruto looked nervous. I hate mazes. It's something Shikamaru would probably like as a mental challenge. The blonde thought, thinking of the slacker that he'd called friend and not for the first time wondered how his friends were doing. Were they happy he was gone? Did they miss him? He sighed as he leapt from tree branch to branch. They paused and overlooked the valley from atop the cliffs. Beautiful. Micah said. That it is. We'll camp here and start fresh in the morning. Q said and both boys went about setting up camp. 12 miles outside of Konoha. The three Chunin found Guy in a battle with a man who looked to be covered in scales and carried a big sword. Stay back, Guy warned. His name is Kisame Hoshigaki. He's a member of Akatsuki. Or, don't want the runts to meet Samehada. The shark-like man sneered as he swung his huge sword. Guy ducked under and launched a flurry of punches that backed up the former Kirigakure nin. What are you doing here, Hoshigaki? Guy demanded using his kunai to block the big sword. It took some effort, but Guy is able to keep up with the former seven swordsmen of the mist. Looking for the Uzumaki brat. Rumors are he was exiled 2 years ago, but I don't believe it as no one has seen him since he supposedly left the Leaf Village. The sharkman sneered as he spun the huge sword with an ease that had many envious. Now then, Konoha SC. You're going to tell me where I can find Uzumaki Naruto, and I'll let you live without your limbs. Kisame sneered, his razor-sharp teeth glinting in the sunlight. Come on kiddies, play with Uncle Kisame. The Akatsuki member taunted. Lee was ready to leap in and help his sensei, but Neji's hand on his shoulder stopped him. Guy was laying in the water face down after a brutal hit from Kisum's same-hate blade. The sawtooth-like sword had caught Guy as he came in for an attack from above. No, Neji said, and Tenten had her Pantera exposed, stood ready with Lee to leap into battle. Neji's Byakugan was searching the surrounding area. Where is your partner? The reports say you usually run in pairs. Kisum snorted. He's around. Don't worry about him, as I'm right here. Kisum lunged and the three Chunin scattered. Lee leaping up and over, landing near Guy. Tenten and Neji going to the left and right, both avoiding the swings of the huge sword. Attack pattern Delta. Neji ordered and the three moved as one. Kisum's eyes widened as he was forced to duck and dodge the 3-on-1 assault. He hadn't expected them to attack as one, and the fact they covered each other's weak spots made it hard for him to go onto the offensive. Lee with a flip kick sent the shark man flying backwards and hitting the shore hard. Tenten, check on Guy sensei. Neji ordered as he and Lee took up a defensive stance between the shore and where Guy lay in the water. Tenten made it there with a splash and rolled her sensei over. She checked for a pulse and sighed. It was strong. The cut looked vicious, but it wasn't deep. Remembering the medical training Lady Tsunade had insisted everyone take, she started the diagnostic jutsu and saw that the wound wasn't bad, but there was a lack of chakra around it, the skin was grayish. Pulling out bandages and healing creams, she treated the wound and wrapped Guy's torso. She stood and saw Kisum was on shore glaring at Lee and Neji. While Tenten was checking on their mentor, Kisum had tried to attack, using a weak water missile jutsu and lunging in with his sword. He'd been knocked back as Lee avoided the missile while Neji struck Kisum's arm. It went numb and he dropped same-hate and was kicked back again by Lee with a spinning torpedo kick. Lee put a foot on the sword and both were glaring at Kisum, who rose once more as Tenten joined them. Guy's unconscious. The sword drains chakra, she told them, describing the wound and the medical jutsu she used to check. Lee will deal with the sword, we shall deal with shark face. Neji said and smiled, seeing his teammates and lovers look at him. What? Uzumaki isn't the only one who can come up with insults. Tenten smiled. I swear we find him, he's getting a year's worth of weapons for helping us. Hey, brats, did you forget something? Kisum snarled and his hand sped through a bunch of hand seals. Water style, hurricane jutsu. He snarled and a vortex rose from the water. Neji focused and 8 trigrams palm rotation. The two spinning forces met and the hurricane lost. Neji looked at Kisum. Fate has decreed you have already lost. Tenten rolled her eyes and Lee actually chuckled as Neji moved into his Juken stance. Your fate was sealed the moment you attacked us. Fate schmate, Kisum said. I'm not the greatest in taijutsu. Hell, academy standards I'm low Chunin. The shark man thought. He'd relied on his water jutsus and his kenjutsu for so long. He was now about to pay for it, he thought, as he looked and saw the one that looked similar to their sensei was standing on same-hate and showing no effects. He blinked and found himself on the defensive as the Hyuga attacked. He avoided several, but he felt several strikes along his ribs on the right side and his dominant arm was totally numb and he couldn't lift it. You are in the field of my divination. Neji said coldly. Kisum smirked, seeing a familiar figure coming up behind the leaf nins. They say you never see death coming. Kisum said. What are you talking about? Neji asked, his Byakugan focusing, and he saw it then. Leetenten, behind you. Both turned, seeing Itachi Uchiha standing over Guy. The Uchiha didn't touch him, but they watched as the Akatsuki member looked up and continued towards them. He looks like an older version of Sasuke. Tenten said, pulling her arms up and remembering Guy's lesson when dealing with a Sharingan user, to watch their feet and torso, avoid looking above the chest. Lee too was taking up a stance, but Itachi walked right past them without a word. He passed Neji and stood before Kisum. You're late, the shark man said in greeting to his partner. Yes, Itachi said, his voice cold as always. Neji swore under his breath. Hinata said he cared the Uchiha to protect Naruto, but is he against Konoha? As that lazy Nara often says, troublesome. Undervis. Valley of Mist. This is bulls. Naruto complained. They'd been walking for hours and he was lost with the many twists and turns they'd taken in the huge labyrinth. Q only chuckled when Micah tried to use his wind element to banish the mist. You'd have better luck reaching the moon than clearing the mist from the valley. It was set by Kami herself, but the reasons for it are lost in the annals of history that even the immortals have forgotten the reason why. Q said. Are you sure we're going the right way? Naruto asked for the 10th time that morning. I think you got us lost. Brat, I know exactly where I am. Where did that come from? In the middle of the path was a boulder. That shouldn't be here. What's that? Micah asked. A rock, stupid, Naruto said and got a rude gesture for his joke. No, listen team, Micah said with his own grin. The three stood still. Sounds like a fight. Naruto said. It's coming from ahead. Q said with his eyes closed as he reached out with his senses in the Vunla. A handicapped fight. 4 against 1, a girl, she's hurt. Micah closed his own eyes and focused as Q had shown them. I can't tell, but she's afraid. Naruto, take the left corridor at the fork. The pair jogged with Q following. Naruto pulled out a kunai. Micah had offered him the sword, but Naruto said it was his by right. They followed the battle and the mist seemed to lift, revealing a woman dodging around with a bow avoiding swords, wore hammers and chains from a small group of bandits it seemed. There were 2 dressed like the other 4s with arrows through their NS. The woman did a backflip and used the labyrinth wall to springboard higher up where she drew and fired 3 arrows faster than the eye could follow. The white feathers were only a blur before the arrows were sticking out of another bandit who fell less, the heavy hammer hitting the ground with a thud seconds before the body. Naruto didn't hesitate, he charged and used his kunai to block the sword that would have skewered the woman from behind when she landed. Naruto with a kick sent the bandit back and gave them some breathing room. Micah's wind slammed the other hammer wielder into the wall of the labyrinth with an audible crack and the man slumped to the ground, his spine broken and the back of his head cracked open from connecting with the stone. Damn, you and that gale force wind, Naruto said as he parried the sword again and again, the bandit not leaving him a space for an opening. Micah was dueling with the chain wielder, the woman backing up using the space to catch her breath. You're safe now, Q said, and she shrieked seeing him hovering there. Be at peace, child. I am Kyubi of the Kitsune. These are my Baiti. We mean you no harm. Q said holding up a ghostly hand as she reached for another arrow. Crucidi, she hissed. Shade actually, but ghost is also semi-accurate, except I am not tied to the plane by unfinished business. And you speak Maida very well. Q said taking a moment to study her up close. She was the same age or a bit older than his apprentices. She had a heart-shaped face with dark sparkling green eyes. Her long lavender hair was in an elaborate braid. She was wearing leather pants and a mesh shirt with a fur-trimmed vest. A pair of silver braces on her forearms were covered with runes. The quiver on her back was filled with numerous arrows and despite what she'd fired didn't seem to be missing any. He looked at the bow and it looked to be well made. He looked closer and saw it was made of bone and the string looked to be made of some sort of metal. Demon bone and mithril string. Interesting weapon, he commented. Kyfyo. The girl said drawing an arrow and aiming it at him. Q sighed and looked back to see Naruto sidestep the sword attack and ram his kunai into the bandit's chest. Micah used his wind element to turn the chain wielder into small bloody cubes enhancing the wind blades with chakra and vulna combined. Your arrow can't hurt me, child. I will not go away, as you put it. Now, can we talk or is there a need for more posturing? Q asked. Are you done chatting up the victim, master? Naruto asked, picking up the bandit's sword and testing its balance and edge before deciding to keep it for now. Droll Naruto. Very, very droll. She is speaking Maida, not sure if she speaks the Hume language. I think she's one of the nomads if her dress is any indication. I speak the Hume tongue. The girl said. She looked at Naruto and then to Micah. Ah, good. I hate playing translator. We can parlay in Hume and my Baiti cannot be the ignorant apes they evolved from. You're all sorts of kind, master. Micah said, wiping the sword off and sheathing it. The girl's eyes followed the blade. Where did you find that sword? She demanded. It's usually nice to thank someone when they help you and then introduce yourself before making demands. Naruto said, remembering some lessons in manners briefly from both Konoha and from some time spent on the mountain with Master Kwai. The girl blushed a bit. Kuno, she said, means sorry. Q supplied with a smirk. My name is Namiashi of the Chuff Mave clan. Q blinked and laughed before looking up at the sky. You have got to be sting me. Kami, you are one sadistic bee with a sense of humor only Metrian seems to appreciate. What? Micah and Naruto asked while Nami backed up convinced the shade was about to be struck by divine vengeance. Chuff Mave in Mida means snow leaf. Q said with a chuckle and laughed seeing both boys' eyes widen even more. Naruto shook his head and muttered about never escaping leaf even in another dimension. Micah looked at his sensei and the blonde and shook his head. Pleasure to meet you Nami Ashi. My name is Mukahamaru Melwasu, the blonde talking to himself is Naro Uzumaki and the see-through pest is our master, Kyubi no Kitsune. He gave her a formal bow. I am not a pest. Q muttered upset about the disrespect his apprentices gave him, but he told himself it was their way. As for this sword, it was back at the mine's exit in the spider swamp. The bee were well over 100 years old at least. Nami looked at the sword. That was my grandfather's sword. It was the last sword forged by the fallen angel Hattori Hanzo. As touching as that is, it is considered salvage, and the boys by right. Q spoke up. Playing on sympathy to get it back will do no good here. Nami looked at the sword and sighed. I'll buy it then. Not for sale. Q said cutting off whatever Micah was about to say. Not that this isn't funny, but you did say you wanted to get out of here before the end of the day master. Naruto said cutting them all off. I don't like not being able to see beyond my arm, and this mist reminds me of my time in Wave and Zabuza and Haku. Micah sighed. He remembered Naruto telling him of his first mission outside of Konoha and how it had turned out. How the Uchiha had gotten even more attention after activating his Sharingan while Naruto didn't get any praise for his deeds in the battle, in defeating Haku nor his work in the days after helping to finish the bridge with his shadow clones. Yeah. Well then Miss Ashi, good journey, and safe passage to you. Q said and floated away. Naruto was right behind him. Micah paused and was staring at Nami, his gold eyes meeting her emerald green. Get the lead out Micah. Q yelled back. Yeah, come on already. Naruto yelled back and he saw them both waiting at a turn, the fog already thickening once more. Micah turned back to where the girl had been only to find her gone. He shook his head and jogged to catch up with his brother and sensei. Konoha. Hinata sat atop the Hokage monument. Arrayed before her was her genin team. Kakashi was leaning against the tree watching her. Hanabi sat against the same tree, her hands folded in her lap. It was the third member of the team that was holding Hinata's attention. She sat against a different tree looking down, her pink hair covering her face like a veil. You were cleared for duty Sakura. What part of doing D-rank missions don't you understand? Hinata asked. Why are you in charge? Why isn't Kakashi-sensei in charge? Hinata sighed. You were told of the event that led to the formation of this squad Sakura. But Kakashi-sensei, I'm no longer a Jonin instructor Sakura. Kakashi said calmly. Hinata while a Chunin was given a team as the Hokage's apprentice to test her as well. Sakura muttered under her breath. So she's rewarded for attacking me and leaving me near death. You weren't near death Haruno. Hanabi said from where she sat. And I understand you got off lightly. Sakura huffed. Why is everyone defending Naruto? He's the last. Your mother explained it I'm sure. Hinata said cutting her off. You were given a clean slate to start from Sakura. I suggest you use that famed intelligence you were claimed to have and think before you speak. Hinata said her voice becoming colder. You live and continue to be a ninja at my discretion now Haruno. Sakura pouted and crossed her arms. Now, we'll be helping Wolfpang-san rebuild his warehouse over the next several days. It's an extended D-rank mission. I suggest you wear work clothes. This is a team-building exercise as you are all aware. Why can't we do a C-rank mission? Sakura asked. With Kakashi-sensei and myself the experienced members. Again you fail to think Haruno. Hanabi said defending her sister. We need to learn to work together. And right now no one trusts you. Kakashi-sense. He's not a sensei. Hinata snarled. Kakashi was S of his rank for his actions as a teacher and as a ninja. I accepted my punishment Sakura. You need to let go of your blind devotion to Sasuke and you need to refer to me as just Kakashi. I'm a genin, I might go for Chunin someday, but until Naruto comes back and forgives me, I will remain a genin. Sakura scoffed. That Barker probably got himself ked, he's so useless, slap. Sakura went down as if shot, her hand going to her cheek which was bruising from the chakra-powered slap from Hinata. You are pushing my patience, Sakura. You really won't like me when I lose my temper now. Hinata said, her hair was darkening as she stood over Sakura. Now listen to me, you stupid child. One more word against Naruto and I will finish what I started in the hospital, and this time Inoki will not be putting your mind back together. You will get up and you will work with the rest of your team and you will do as you're told. If you don't like any of this, hand over your Haitao 8 right now and go home to your shrew of a mother, because Konoha doesn't need ninja like you. Sakura looked at the girl standing over her. In her mind she couldn't believe this was the same shy Hinata that she used to mock in the academy. Shaaa. It's that Barker's fault. Mom was right, he's corrupted her somehow. Tainted her with his evilness. Inner Sakura yelled. But what can I do? Sakura thought, nursing her cheek. Play along with the bee. When the time comes, Sasuke-kun will come back and show them all. Inner Sakura coached her. Sakura swallowed and stood up. She went and stood closer to her team, and looked down. I'm sorry, Hinata-sensei. She said, making her voice low and pathetic sounding. Hinata looked at her and narrowed her eyes. Her aura changed momentarily. I don't believe you, Haruno, but for now let's see what you're up to. Very well, Sakura. Now let's go, we have a warehouse to rebuild. The three genin and their chunin left the monument. From the shadows a pair of eyes watched it all happen, then they too vanished. Elsewhere, Kisame smirked as he looked at the three-leaf nins. The odds were back in his favor. Not so Sai now, hey brats. Neji's stance changed and Tenten's Pantera came up in a defensive position. Lee, get Guy and that sword away from here. No need, Itachi said. Before anyone could ask, his wazashi was out of its sheath and buried into Kisame's chest. Wah. Kisame tried to ask, surprise in his eyes. Damn you Uchiha. He said, falling backwards. Seems to be a common phrase of the S. Itachi said emotionlessly, his eyes looking at Kisame without remorse. You can relax, I mean you no harm. Itachi said to the three chunin. My mission with the Akatsuki is finished. Three nins looked at him in surprise. A groan had them all look at Guy who was coming around. Best we destroy Kisame's body and bury the sword deep in the river, then I'm sure we can talk. Itachi continued, his voice even as if he was discussing the weather and not just coming off from betraying Akatsuki and his partner of the last several years. Neji studied him and nodded. Itachi and I will deal with the body and burial of the sword and the Otonins we encountered. Lee, Tenten, find us a safe place and get Guy there. Tenten looked like she was going to argue, but Lee already picked up Guy and was moving. I'll leave the marks for you to find. Tenten said after sharing a look with Neji, trying to will unto him to be careful around the Uchiha. His nod and soft look told her he would be. Once they were gone, Neji looked at Itachi. We will talk about this, Uchiha. Your brother is with Orochimaru and we don't actually believe you would suddenly switch sides like this. Believe what you will. I left Konoha all those years ago after King my clan to protect Naruto. I joined Akatsuki to do the same thing. I was Jiraiya's and the third spy. I return now as Akatsuki has been broken. Pain, the leader and Konan dissolved the organization. Why? Neji asked as Itachi destroyed Kisame's body with black flames. Pain SD two of the tailed beasts and increased his power. He and Konan crossed into another dimension. The others scattered to the winds. Neji looked at the blade that lay in the water. Then why was Kisame still after Naruto? I read the reports Jiraiya wrote up during his time with Uzumaki as they searched for Lady Tsunade. Itachi smiled. You didn't see underneath the surface of that. His hands moved and a hand of mud rose up from the water and dragged Samehei deeper into the water. But as for why Kisame was still after Naruto, simple. Power. Naruto has it, and many members of Akatsuki still want it. But Pain understood when he absorbed the other two demons, holding the Kyuubi's power would be impossible. Dissolved the mud hand and the sword was at the bottom of the river and under several feet of mud now. So Naruto will still have members of your organization after him. Former organization, and yes, they are all power hungry, and with Pain and Konan gone, there will be no one controlling them and having them be cautious. Neji felt a headache coming on. We need to inform the Hokage of all of this, but we aren't supposed to abandon our search for Uzumaki either. Itachi smiled. I do have a summon contract with birds. Write your message to the Hokage. I will remain with you. I have much to tell Uzumaki when we meet up. Promises I made to my sensei. Your sensei? Neji asked. Itachi chuckled at that, throwing Neji off. An Uchiha with emotions other than anger or jealousy. What in Kami's name is going on? Yes, my sensei. Uzumaki Kazama Namika's Kushina. Naruto's mother. Undervis. Naruto took several deep breaths. They'd cleared the Valley of Mist with plenty of daylight to spare, but Q refused to move on. We'll camp here. Granted the outpost is ahead, but I prefer to make it there fresh in case we need to leave under circumstances. The Shade of the Fox Lord said as he refused to move beyond the rocky terrain and the start of the snow. Build the fire up, and for Kami's sake remember to set traps this time around the camp. Q said. Micah and Naruto both chuckled while copying one another with scratching the back of their heads sheepishly. How were we to know those sand lizards would be nocturnal? It's not like you told us anything about the fiends we'd be fighting. And we did manage to sense them through Vunla. Seconds before they attacked. I swear Kit, you were quick with those clones of yours, but if you'd been one moment slower those sand lizards would have hit you with their venom and you and Micah would be bones in their lairs. Micah shrugged. Didn't happen and we both learned from it. Yeah, isn't that what you've been saying? What don't KS us only makes us stronger. Naruto added. I did say that, but set the perimeter traps please. Q agreed. Naruto and Micah did rock paper scissors and Naruto laughed as he won with rock beating Micah's scissors. Fine, I hate setting traps anyways. The silver-haired youth said as he started digging the fire pit with gusts of wind while at the same time setting up the lean-to and then the sleeping bags. Q meanwhile was looking towards the tundra in the distance, his eyes searching for something he knew was there. Oh Togakur, when will you let me go and hunt for my brother? Sasuke demanded, barging into the throne room where Orochimaru was with Danzo. If he was bothered by the rude interruption, Orochimaru didn't show it. Soon Sasuke-kun, soon. You are getting stronger with every day. He looked at Danzo. Our allies in Iwa are hesitant to allow Lord Sasuke to witness their family techniques. Make them understand that it is in their best interests to give them over willingly, rather than by force. Danzo bowed to Orochimaru and left. I grow tired of wasting time. I need to K my brother. Sasuke said. I promise, soon you will have your revenge Sasuke, and then after you K him, you can K that demon brat for daring to stop you from your destiny. Naruto. Sasuke said with disdain. I knew the Dobe couldn't beat me on his own. He needed the power of a demon to do it. And soon you will have that power as your own as well Sasuke, and then you will be unstoppable. Orochimaru cooed. But for now, continue copying the techniques from the prisoners we brought you from Suna. Shame you couldn't get that full Gaara or his siblings. I would love to crush him as well. Orochimaru smiled to himself. That's right fool. Become powerful. Add more and more to your body and when you least expect it, it will be mine. The snake Sanin thought as he watched his next body move on. Proud and foolish, that is the Uchiha family summarized to the letter. His laughter filled the chamber. Soon Tsunade, the leaf will be burnt to ashes and I will have it all. Undervis. I hate you. Naruto said as he was hanging upside down by his ankles. Me. You're the one who set the traps. Micah said as he too was suspended upside down. Boys. Now is not the time. The demon fox Lord's shade looked like he was fighting to stop from laughing. And care to tell me whose idea it was to spar? His. Both boys said pointing at the other. A taijutsu spar, in the middle of what basically is considered a mission. Q sighed. Humes. Think, what would happen if we were attacked and you two idiots were weakened by your stupidity to prove who the alpha male is? Q switched to Maida and was drifting away. Hey, Naruto yelled. Cut us down. I think he is, Micah said. I know that phrase. What? Naruto asked. He's insulting us and laughing at us, Micah said. Stupid fox. Naruto muttered, crossing his arms while hanging upside down. You know we can get out of this ourselves if we just stop and calm down. Micah supplied. I know, it's just. Both boys shared a look and laughed. Ready. Do it, Naruto said. The wind blade SD through the ropes and both boys flipped before hitting the ground and landing in a crouch. Good. Now pack, we're moving on. Q said. But the sun isn't even up. Naruto complained. But since you're both up and full of piss and vinegar, we can continue. Besides, I sense we're being watched and I don't like it. Q said. Both boys tensed and Naruto reached out with his senses and with the Vunla and his eyes drifted partially closed. Whoever it is working hard to be evasive. It don't feel like a fiend. Micah was already back rolling up the lean-to and bedding, putting it all back in its scroll. He shouldered the Hanzo sword. You think it's Mikahamaru's new fangirl? Naruto asked. Shut up, Micah said. Late last night Naruto had started to tease Micah about how Nami and him had been staring at one another. It had led to the taijutsu spar, aka the brotherly brawl. Q said, stroking his chin in a manner that reminded the boys of Master Kwai. Could be. She did seem eager to get her hands on his sword. A2 Master? Micah asked. Of course, Q said with a huge grin that really reminded Micah of Naruto. You both suck, the silver-haired youth said as he used his wind to smother the fire. Nah, that's what you're hoping Nami does. Naruto teases and yelps as he gets smacked in the rear by a wind whip. Rubbing his smarting posterior, Naruto squints at Micah. You're getting way too good with that wind of yours. Micah smirked and followed Q. Naruto looked over his shoulder once more before following the pair. Ah, travelers, the owner of the outpost said as the three entered. Going to hunt the tundra. Archaeology, Q said. A lesson for my bitey. The slightly pudgy man nodded. The academy students were here during the thaw. Sadly they were scared off by the nomads and the fiends. By the way, I am Cameron, and this is the last outpost. I have rooms and my wife does the cooking. My son Tannen runs the store, he's out right now with the air skiff. He uses it to run from here to Solid Anu to make trades and restock supplies. That is fine. We'll wait, Q said. Then find a table, anything to drink. Cameron asked. Q smiled. As a matter of fact, you don't happen to have Vina. Cameron's eyes widened. I do have a couple of bottles. No one has had that since my grandfather ran this outpost. Q nodded. A pair of glasses and the bottle then. Micah 10 silver. Q motioned and Micah pulled out the money pouch and pulled out several silver pieces, and counted out 10 pieces before putting the pouch away. Expensive drink, master, he said. Q chuckled, his eyes looking at the amber liquid bottle. The bottle itself had a layer of dust on it, and he nodded to Cameron. We'll take a room as well. The heavy-set man nodded and went to prepare a room for them. Naruto, pour a 2 fingers worth into the glasses for you and Micah. Q said. Both youths looked at their master, wondering what he was thinking. It's a tradition, well amidst Kitsune anyways. You both proved yourselves in the spider swamp and in the valley of mist. You've both grown strong in the ways of Vunla and I am proud of you. Tonight we'll rest here again and trade the spoils accumulated. Tomorrow we'll start out for the tundra. Q said. Naruto, thinking it was like sake, tipped the shot glass back and swallowed the amber liquid in one gulp. Micah sipped a bit of his. Q watched and waited, a smile on his face. He didn't have to wait long as Naruto farted a 6-foot flame while Micah belched flames from his mouth with smoke coming out of his ears. Q was rolling in the air, floating as he laughed so hard if he'd had a body it would have S from lack of air as he was laughing so hard, which only increased as Naruto fell to the floor and was dragging his butt on the hardwood floor to try and ease the burning from the hot fart. Micah looked at his glass, his eyes watering as the smoke ceased and he'd stopped breathing fire. Cameron brought a basket of bread and 2 pitchers of water. The man was laughing as well. My grandfather told me stories about that stuff, but no one till now has been brave enough to drink it. Kukukaku. Oh, I haven't laughed like that in a long time. Good vintage. Micah was chewing on bread while Naruto finally stopped dragging his butt on the floor and took a pitcher of water and poured it on his smoking ass, then taking the other one gulped it down. You might wish to bring them more water and bread, Q suggested while both teens were looking at him promising death. Now then, you bastard, Naruto said, wincing as he sat down, a squishing sound from his wet pants. Agreed, Micah said after swallowing the bread in his mouth. Oh, please, that can't be worse than that snot jutsu you both hit Kwai with. Both boys exchanged sheepish looks. They'd hit the Shaolin with a Jinx jutsu where his own nose mass-produced large quantities of snot. Sadly it had ruined a copy of Ika Ika and they'd spent the night running laps till they collapsed at dawn. I need to change, Naruto said, standing with a wince. That was just cruel, master, Micah said, watching the blonde wander off. Now, why are we staying here? We haven't traveled far. Smarter than you look, Micah. I want you both to rest here. I am going to slip over to the other side and peek about. It's been a while since we've had news and maybe I can give that balloon chest Hokage a piece of my mind. Q said lowly. Keep Naruto here till I return, I'll leave after you're both asleep tonight. Use some of the money to buy a new sword for him, and stock up on potions, ointments and herbs. Also get some rations and warmer clothing. Micah nodded as he listened to his master. Any suggestions? Leather underlay with fur overlay. Also cloaks, gloves and boots. If they have them, get climbing gear. I want you to be kitted out. Assume you don't have chakra, and go from there. As you wish, master, Micah said. And for Kami's sake, if that girl shows up, don't give her that sword. Hanzo was a master craftsman. His heavenly weapons are legendary. But, if I'm going to get a mechadisciple, shouldn't I return her family's legacy? Micah asked. No, Q said. Listen, I know there is much I haven't said, trust me for now, Kit. And watch out for Naruto. They both turned to see Naruto coming out wearing black pants and a rust orange shirt now with his orange jacket. We're going to be on snow and ice and he's going to stick out like a sore thumb. Micah muttered. The fur should cover it up. Remember what I said. Micah nodded and Naruto rejoined them, unaware what the fox was planning. Konoha, Hokage's tower. Tsunade was sitting at her desk looking over reports. Sound and Cloud were pushing at the borders and the foot soldiers were being pushed to the limit. The ninja she sent were holding their own, but without more soon, they would be forced to fall back and cede ground to the enemy nin. Where the hell is Orochimaru getting all these troops? She muttered. Ninja-wise we know their numbers, but they're soldiers. Are golems. Jiraiya said coming through the window. What? He's using alchemy to create limitless number of mindless troops. Jiraiya said. Tsunade looked around and made several hand signs. I got a letter from Neji and his team. Not Guy. Jiraiya asked. Tsunade sighed. Guy is injured. They are going to leave him at Suna before they continue their search. Funny, the message was brought by a summon. A bird summon. Jiraiya gulped. Let me explain before you pound me. Speak, and it better be damn good, you old pervert. Jiraiya gulped. Well, yes, Ero-sanin, explain. Both Tsunade and Jiraiya turned to see the figure slip through the walls. Who the hell are you? Tsunade demanded. Oh, Bachan, I come seeking answers for a certain blonde that we are both fond of. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.